Good afternoon, guys, and this is the second part of our interview. It's again John Beech, Professor John Beech from Coventry University, and now we are talking about more personal experiences. And I want to start just from simple question. It is how many hundreds of interview you had before?
Oh, gosh, I've never counted them. I think broadcasts I've probably done about 120, the majority on radio, but certainly I have done television interviews for the BBC and for Sky on the UK National. I've done the BBC World for internationally. Let me think, I've had interviews on Polish television, Greek television, maybe one other one that I can't immediately think of.
Okay, I hope this interview will be also interesting for you. So first I want to ask you about your personal philosophy. Do you have this philosophy, and does it change during the time? So you involved, I know that you worked as a teacher before, and now you're more working with economics, so probably it's influenced somehow on your personality.
Well, I guess as a personality, perhaps I see myself as a little bit different from the average in I'm very, very internationally minded. And this is certainly from my experience. I had a gap year between school and university. I lived in Austria, so that made me think outside the UK. My first job after university, I worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years. That was a big eye-opener that there are different cultures, very different cultures. And then my early years working were in English as a foreign language, so I was always teaching international students from all over the world. And when I came into academia and management, then very quickly I got involved with teaching international programs and teaching international students in Coventry. So I've always had very much a global perspective, and I think that's definitely shaped my personality.
And which role sport played in this shaping of your personality? So do you uh, you're from the beginning football fan or cricket fan, as we know from this week also? So and what is sport for you? What is football for you? And what is this passion for supporting your favorite team, your English team, Portsmouth?
Well, I must be honest and say, as playing sport, I've never particularly been a sports player. I'm have very limited vision in this eye, which means I'm never going to be very good at sport. In terms of being a fan, yes, going back to my teenage years, I used to go to Fratton Park and watch Portsmouth, and I certainly believe, you can take the man out of Portsmouth, but you can't take Portsmouth out of the man. So I've always had that interest in Portsmouth Football Club, and renewed when they got into trouble. In terms of studying sport management, I almost came into that by accident. I was originally working in general business management. When I was asked to get involved in sport business, one of the things that struck me very quickly was this business of it's a different motivation. It's not just about making a profit. Fans are not simply customers, consumers. It is a special kind of business. And I think at that time, a lot of academics were simply trying to take standard business theory and apply it to sport. And I could see this didn't work very well. I think equally it doesn't work the other way. You'll see seminars advertised, what can the Olympics teach business? And my reaction is not very much, because they are completely different organizations with different motivations, different purposes. So that's when I started researching. That was specifically when Coventry City got into trouble in 2007. And I thought, well, it's local, so I ought to follow this closely. Then Portsmouth got into trouble, my own club. So that's what kind of led me into researching football finance in particular.
And let me ask you about some inside information. How our university found you, and what was your reaction when you knew about this opportunity to teach students here?
Well, I'm not really sure how they started recruiting. I think there were probably one or two people that the rector knew, academics who were well known, and then through them they contacted other lecturers. And I was first approached because I do a lot of work with Professor Caspar, who is coming down in a few weeks' time, and he made the initial contact for me, and then RIOU approached me.
This clear, and so probably some words about your cat. We heard a lot that you have this and you promote your cat on Facebook. So what could you tell us?
Well, my cat's called Chico. He's a Havana Brown. I love him to bits. He's a beautiful, beautiful cat. He's very, very friendly, and I would hate to be without him.
You use a lot of social networks. Do your cat also has any accounts? Not?
No, I'm not completely crazy. My cat does not have a Facebook account. I know people who have their cat accounts and dog accounts, but no, I'm not that crazy. It's really just pictures of him.
Okay, and in the end, some short questions, just these closed questions, and I ask you to answer shortly. So, if you will choose between coffee and tea, what do you prefer?
Definitely coffee. I almost never drink tea at all, and certainly at home I never drink tea.
Oh, it's interesting. Book or movie?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think probably book.
Music concert or sport event?
That depends. It depends who's playing the music, who's playing the sport.
And English literature or American?
Probably English literature, not necessarily because I think it's better, it's just I'm more familiar with it, it's closer to me. Yes, if you're really asking are the differences, yes, there are subtle differences of language and the background, but I mean, I think there's some great American literature. Catch-22 is one of my favorite all-time books.
And very obvious question for you, Portsmouth or Manchester?
Portsmouth.
Okay, thank you very much for interview. Thank you guys for watching. I hope we will keep this tradition to ask some inside information, to go acquainted with our professors. So next week, next interview. Thank you for watching.
Goes Pompey, 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 you're the team. Pompey, 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 you're the cream.